Today, I'm super proud to have Mark Ellul, and he's one of the reasons that I am where I am today, because I came to him a few months ago. I explained what I wanted to do, and he clarified exactly what I need to do. Now, Mark, I don't like just saying you're a coach because you're not just a coach. What do you do for people?
Well, my role or my occupation is an executive coach. Yes, you're right, but a transformational coach, meaning I work mostly on developing mindset, the right mindset for people. And what is mindset? And what is a coach? For me, the definition of a coach is I'm a GPS.
Okay.
All right? You sent me a link, correct, so that I can find this particular office.
Yes.
So it identified the specific location, and it gave me options on how to get there. And this is what I do. You know what I mean? I help people identify goals, but I help them how to get there.
I believe that people do not have a mindset of I'm a business, I need a coach. You have to have a coach when you're in sports. It's like the mindset is for you to become professional, you need a coach.
Correct.
And we have not yet transitioned into I am a CEO, I am a real estate agent. For me to become the best agent possible, I need someone outside the box looking in.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. It's not common practice in Malta, but abroad, it's the first thing they do, basically. The important thing, Andrew, is this, is that it's important that the coach, if you're working with a coach to help you with sales, it's important that the coach has direct hands-on experience in sales.
100%.
All right? So I'm not saying there are a lot of people that are very bright and very intelligent and very advanced in theory, but in practice, they lack the actual practice. I think if you're going to select a coach, it's important that that coach has actually traveled the journey that you're trying to travel.
Because you're doing real estate coaching at this point in time, yes?
Correct, real estate, but I also coach other industries and train other industries too, whether it's retail, insurance. I mean, I work with law firms, I work with finance firms.
What is your background?
Well, my background, you won't believe this, but at 16 and a half, actually, I left Malta and I went to work in the oil fields in the middle of the Sahara Desert.
Very different.
Okay? I wasn't born with a silver spoon, so I had to save enough money to go to university in the States. And I went to Pace University in New York. After that, basically, I got lucky. I bumped into an individual. He was the president of Swatch Watch USA, and he was launching Swatch in 8 months. And he hired me to do the launch event, and from there, I became the head of marketing for Swatch. Beyond that, my life exploded then. I ended up working in 28 countries, mostly in music, sports, industries, and retail. I built franchises across the globe, you know what I mean? And about, I would say 15, 16 years ago, I returned to Malta because of a family issue. And I've been trying to build this coaching business since then.
But you have, because I know you've trained in two of the biggest agencies.
Yeah, we've worked together for some time, and I'm proud to say that I worked with some of the most prominent real estate agencies in Malta. I love the business because it's diverse. I never get bored.
For sure.
Every agent is different, every client is different, and to me, it's a very exciting and dynamic industry, and I see it evolve from year to year, basically.
So when you say agent, what are the biggest mistakes that agents face that don't help them grow? Because you just mentioned agent and growing, and
I think the biggest issue that I can pinpoint after working directly with agents and agencies for 15 years is that their standards are not high enough, as far as I'm concerned. Meaning, when it comes to elite agents, there are about 3,500 agents, registered agents in Malta. I would say that 100 of them are elite, and you are definitely one of them. The passion you have for this business and the love you have for this business and your customer centricity, how you focus on the client, I think it will be hard to find many others that give the level of service you do, Andrew. And I'm here for that reason.
So what does, thank you. So what does the service mean? As in, when you say the day-to-day role of an agent, what service should he provide to be better than everyone else?
For me, service means value. How
Okay.
much value are you actually delivering? I think the biggest drawback about this industry is it hasn't changed or evolved in 50 years. If I have the property, I'll get the client. It's as simple as that. But I think the focus of the education is not only, you don't educate the agent only, but you educate the customer too. I don't think any agent should qualify for them to help me buy my home. I would spend 3 months researching the agent, I would get references for that agent, and then I would move forward. I think they make it too easy, so they don't, it's the customer that's not demanding a higher level of service, so it's not the fault of the people, it's not the fault of the other agents, you know what I mean? To improve a level of service, you have to demand it. And we demand it everywhere else, right? Whether you go to a restaurant, other industries, we demand it. And in Malta, we've improved in leaps and bounds in that area. But in this industry, it's too easy. It's still relatively focused on the property. If I have the property, okay, you will call me. I think the customer has to demand higher levels. And there are 4 different levels of value that you can give a client. I think we're firmly stuck on level 1, except for 100 or so agents that to me are elite agents, and they are very successful too in this business.
Do you think the reason is because they don't get paid until the very end? So it's like they're chasing a commission? Is it?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, that's part of it. They don't have a paycheck, so they're working without a safety net. And it's very scary when you want to survive on a day-to-day basis, when you want to pay the bills, support your family at home. Of course, you're going to be short-term sighted. You know what I mean? You need to close the deal now so that you can pick up the money. But I think the best agents understand that you have to work long-term, meaning focus on referrals, focus on word of mouth, leave such an impression with the customer that they'll get their family to reach out to you, and they'll recommend you to other people. This is how all other industries work, am I right? Whether
100%.
you're staying in a hotel or going to a restaurant, you know, if you go to a bad restaurant, you won't go back there again. In this industry, I'm afraid they actually, the customer, the agents, the non-qualified, untrained agents, they always find another, excuse the expression, sucker.
So how do you transform an agent who wants to learn, obviously, change his mindset to become a top performing agent, or guiding him to get there?
Well, my advice would be first is to expand the list of KPIs that agents focus on. You know, most companies focus on the practical KPIs, which are, you know what I mean, you do an exact number of listings,
Yes.
you have an exact number of stickers, or you know, the basics. But they're actually ignoring all the other things that I think count for building if you want to build a sustainable business, you need to focus on delivering an extraordinary customer experience too. Do you know that the words customer service are obsolete abroad? In most of the high-level countries, that's obsolete. It then evolved to customer experience, and now it's
Yes.
evolved to customer delight.
Okay.
And the most successful companies in the world, all right, that is what they strive to deliver. The companies that are going bankrupt, and in every industry we have them, whether it's in retail or anything, okay, are the ones that ignored customer experience and customer delight, as far as I'm concerned. You know?
100%.
Yeah.
Is it, but let me see. So an agent has to go through all the motions and is meeting new people every day. He's posting, he's looking at property. And I think this is something they struggle with, which is either the rejection
Correct. Yes.
or it is sometimes procrastination. I'll do it tomorrow. There are certain stuff that they need to do every single day.
Yeah.
How do you overcome the procrastination, the fear of rejection? What tools do you need?
Look, mindset is everything. Okay? Our brains are actually set up to fail, not to succeed. Why? Because our subconscious, okay, is always looking out for danger. So every time an agent is rejected, okay, that specific person starts to criticize themselves internally. So they lose their confidence, their self-esteem takes a dip. You know what I mean? And
It happens very easily.
It happens very easily because it's a very tough business. You know what I mean? And rejection is high. This is why it's so important to just keep focusing on self-improvement and self-development. Keep learning, keep studying more about the market, for example. You know, market knowledge is very important. How to communicate with clients. There are different kind of personalities out there. You can't have one way to actually sell or serve your clients. You have to be able to adapt, like a chameleon adapts. You know what I mean? And learn how to read body language, learn the signals that your customer is giving you without them having to speak. You know, to me, I think the mindset is everything, you know, and we ignore that. Most agencies, I think, don't have an internal structure of training and coaching. They don't. They ignore it. For them, it's an extra cost, and I think it's a big mistake.
How do you help them get over this apathy or issue they have?
Well, first you have to hit them with the truth about how the mind works and why they're experiencing those feelings, you know, and those emotions, right?
Yeah.
Second step is how to overcome them and how to, you know, wake up every morning and develop a mindset of continuous learning. The beautiful thing is this, is maybe you don't know something yet, but if you have a growth mindset, which is a mindset that wakes up every morning and says, I don't know it all. You like that?
Yep.
You know, I don't know it all. And that's a great starting point. I mean, I'm 66. I wake up every morning, and I'm not joking, my girlfriend hates it. I always shout out, the first thing I shout out in the morning is, I'm better than this. What does it mean? It means I'm not good enough. I think people forget that real estate is a service industry.
100%.
Right? It's a service industry. So service must come first, the customer must come first, okay? We need to educate ourselves, we need to speak to the customers to see what they need, what they want, all right? And build your business from there. Steve Jobs actually said it once. If you want to build your business, ask your customer what they want, and that's your starting point. And build from there, you know? Because after all, he's the one that's paying your commission check. You know, he or she. Yeah. They're the people that are paying your commission check. So
you said every single morning you give an affirmation.
Correct.
What are the non-negotiable habits an agent should have?
I think number one in sales is empathy. If you have no empathy, you can't be really good at sales. You understand? Yeah. You have to understand what the pain points of the customers are. in your recent podcast, you talked about the fear levels of a customer. The customer is actually petrified. Both the seller and the buyer, okay, are petrified.
Both
Why?
times is the first time doing this, selling or buying.
Yeah, I mean, even a person that is not a first-time buyer feels the same fear. I think they did some research in the States where they actually declared that at the point of signing the contract, both the seller and the buyer are actually so scared that it's compared to the level of they're going to die. Why? Because the buyer is scared that they're paying too much. The seller is scared that they didn't ask enough. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And this is why it's so important to have an agent to be able to help you, consult you through those difficult parts. I mean, I understand that a lot of people try to buy direct and go direct to the developer owner, but there's a very valuable reason that you should hire an agent. And to me, it's experience. It's market knowledge. You know what I mean? They can help you navigate those speed bumps, you know, that fear.
Real estate is very emotional for the buyer, for the seller, and for the agent.
But selling is emotion. Make no mistake about it. If you think it's the price, if you think there's something logical that closes the deal, you're absolutely wrong.
How do you help them overcome it? Or give them the steps to overcome the emotions in the sales process?
Hire an expert.
Yes, that's.
I'm sorry, if I go to a doctor, I won't go to a doctor that's not qualified. We trust the doctor. He writes a prescription, we go buy the medicine and take it. If you're flying on an airplane, would you fly with an airline if you don't know that the pilot actually did about 1,000 hours of training?
Or a bad track record?
You know, everything's like that. You go, even a chef can kill you if he doesn't cook your chicken right. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So to me, I would ask for expertise first. I would go looking for expertise first. And the more experience an agent has, and I would actually ask for referrals. If you go to an interview,
they
right,
ask you for a referral.
I want to know what your past employer felt about you.
Yeah.
What your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. You know what I mean? And can I work with that? I don't think people would hire anybody blindly. And in this business, it's even more important. Why? Because you're paying premium prices.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
100%.
You know, I don't get it. I don't get why, especially upmarket clients. You know what I mean? And people who are buying expensive properties and villas.
Yeah.
You need an expert by your side. I mean, this is what I do. You know, and okay, I'm claiming an expert. Experience is expertise. Nothing is more important than that. Nothing is more important than that because you made the mistakes. You know what I mean? I always tell people, I always tell my clients, first of all, I don't want you to think I'm some kind of guru or anything like that, but I'm qualified in what I do is because I made the mistakes and survived them. Not only have I survived them, but I use them as stepping stones to get to where I want in my career. You know what I mean? If you're not willing, that's another thing about the agent and why they get discouraged, is they fear making a mistake. If you fear making a mistake, if you fear risk, you won't get anywhere in the world. You can't do anything because mistakes are part of it. That's how you learn how to walk. That's how you learn how to talk, by the way.
Yes.
Everything we learned in our lives, you know, we had to fall.
Your mistake or someone else's, which is better?
Pardon?
Someone else, you learn from someone else's mistakes, which is better than learning from your own.
Yeah, but that's what self-education means, you know, grab a book. That's fake.
Podcasts.
You know what I mean? I worked with many agencies.
Listening to this video.
I worked with thousands of agents, and I'm telling you right now, I worked with companies, and I bet you between the whole company of 400, 500 people, nobody has read a book for the last 10 years.
Yep.
I don't get it. You know, honestly, I don't get it because it actually helps you. It speeds up your process. in a podcast recently, I said this, and I'll say it again because it applies perfectly here. There are two ways to become successful. One is through trial and error. It's a perfectly valid way to succeed, okay? And especially if you have the street smart of the Maltese, because you have to,
Yes.
you have to give them an award for that, right? But the thing is this, the books, the podcasts, like you said, you know, the seminars and everything, what they do is they speed up your process. Your curve, your growth curve is steeper. So you get to a higher level of service, you get to a higher level of whatever you do in life at a much faster rate. The risk with the first strategy is that you run out of time.
100%.
And
So-
there's nothing more precious than time.
No. You coach individuals.
I coach companies
And you coach
and
companies.
individuals.
So like a football coach, you coach the person, but then you coach the team.
Correct.
How does that differ? How does that change between an individual and a team?
Coaching or training a team, it's not easy, right? But when you compare it to coaching an individual, is the first thing I do if I was coaching you is I would actually do a personality profile.
Okay.
Because it would take me 6 months to get to know you. You know what I mean? So I might as well speed it up. All right? There's a Tony Robbins DISC personality profile, which works really well. So I get to know you before I know you, correct? And my strategy is completely different to anybody else's. I tend to work on strength-based coaching, meaning I will focus on your strengths.
Yeah.
All right? And I work through your strengths. So our strategy, our collective strategy would be, how are we going to tap into the strengths that you have? You know what I mean? And make you up level, reach a higher level of efficiency and productivity, correct? Most coaches try to change the negatives. It's very difficult. Have you ever tried to change yourself?
Many a time.
Now try changing somebody else. It can't be done unless you're working with the strengths, you know? It's no use trying to swim against the current. Find the current and swim with it. And what happens is all of a sudden your trust level with the agent grows because they put their defensive wall down, right? And then once they have mastered their goals, all right, then you can turn on the weaknesses. But first you have to raise their level of confidence, self-esteem, and you have to inspire them, you know, and you cannot inspire them if you're always reminding them of what's wrong with them. Psychologists does that, our parents did that to us, and they didn't help us. They didn't.
Fantastic. If there's one thing you wish you knew in your 20s or 30s that you know today, what would it be?
That's a deep question.
You've got lots of experience and...
I wouldn't have wasted so much time. You know, I worked in the sports music industry. There was a lot of entertainment, let's put it this way. You know what I mean? It was all about being cool and everything. I would have put that aside and just focused and became more relevant, you know what I mean, to what I was doing. I think I'm 66 years old, so time becomes precious, correct?
Because it becomes precious because you know it's limited. But when you're 30, it doesn't dawn on you.
No, when you're 18, you don't care about time. You know, you think, actually the Buddha said, you think you have time, you don't have time. You know, I lost friends at 28, I lost, I lost people at you don't know how much time you have. So seize the day, wake up in the morning and seize the day. You know, do something productive, do something for others, because this is what I like about this industry. You know, a lot of people mock this industry.
100%.
I think it's noble. I think it's noble to find a young family a property where they're going to raise their kids in it. You know what I mean? Do you know that that property actually records what happens there? I lived abroad for 40 years. I came back. I remember going to my mom's house, and every room.
The emotions.
No, I mean, honest, I was daydreaming and seeing all the experiences I had in every room. They came all rushing back to me. It's like the home records the memories, you know, the consciousness of what happens there. So to me, helping somebody find their home, you know, where they can raise their kids, the home is a place of safety.
I'm going to be honest, I see it totally differently.
Yeah.
I see it from the selling standpoint, because every time I find someone who is slightly vulnerable, has no idea how to sell their home, this 60, 70-year-old lady who would love to do this seamlessly, that is where I love to help. Helping that person who has no idea how to go through the motions of selling that property safely without feeling she's been exploited.
Yes, but that's a very important part of the journey, correct?
100%.
It's the journey to buy the house. But you're not putting the value of actually living in the house. I think that adds a lot of value. You know what I mean?
If someone wants
to, sorry to interrupt you, but again, that house will probably be inherited by the kids.
Yes.
So what you're saying, it sustains not even one generation, it sustains many. So I'm a bit of a romantic, I'm sorry. I think it's a fascinating business, you know what I mean? I think agents, especially the good agents, don't get enough credit.
Is there anything you want to add, you want to put out there today?
What I want to do is, number one, I want to encourage agents to embrace continuous learning, right? And to raise the standards of how they connect with the client, how they communicate with them, how they serve them, and ultimately, you know what I mean, to never stop learning. It's as simple as that. You know, they can't, you can't have a fixed mindset and pretend that you're going to grow, or that this industry, you know, that you're in will actually improve the way it's perceived.
For sure. So where can the listeners find you? Where can they find your work and connect?
Well, I have a Facebook page. It's called The Coaching Effect. All right.
We'll tag it.
Pardon?
We'll tag it in the video, so you'll find it there.
The Coaching Effect. I put inspirational posts on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? There's too much horrible news out there. I think people should change their diet. What you put in your head is equivalent to what you're putting in your stomach. Same effect. It either poisons you, you know what I mean, or lifts you. I think there's a lot of good things that we should be focusing on in life. Other than that, they could contact you to contact me.
Yeah, we can do that. But thank you very, very, very much, Mark.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.